All right, hi. Welcome to I guess this is Zweihander RPG's channel still, but we're adventures in Lollygagging. Hopefully you can hear us on the channel. If you can't, say something in chat so we can kind of fix that as fast as possible. I suck at Twitch. Still kind of learning how to do that. I am Jeff. I am Game Master GM, whatever you want to call me. And we do a podcast for Zweihander or with Zweihander. Comes out every Monday. It's audio only, and we tend to like to edit and clean up some stuff. So this whole like live streaming thing, that's terrifying. We were just doing like breathing exercises and stuff. Like, oh geez, like we've done some Twitch streaming before, but this is a whole different thing because we make so many mistakes, and there's tons that get through on the edit, but there's a ton that don't get through on the edit. So yeah. Anyway. So if you're interested in hearing any more of our Zweihander stuff, Mondays, anywhere you get podcasts, look up Adventures in Lollygagging. You'll find us. We do a couple other things, so we're gonna plug that as people start filling in to the channel. Actually, what do we do on Fridays?
On Fridays?
Yeah, on Fridays. Like tomorrow. We just started doing it like 3 weeks ago.
Like tomorrow,
Yeah.
we do the Mutant Year Zero game.
Yeah.
And I play a cat lady.
Yeah. So
I get drunk.
That's true. You actually make moonshine too. There'll be moonshine in this game tonight, possibly. So if you want to see us do other horrible like live stream stuff, check us out on Fridays as well. Justin and I, my friend Justin in the bottom left-hand corner, we've been podcasting for a while, doing other nonsense. Justin, what do we do? I forget.
We talk about nerdy stuff, and then we make fun of the fact that I don't know how to pronounce anything. That's pretty much. If I were to sum up the podcast, that's probably it.
I once heard Justin mispronounce his own name. It's great. I got stories I can tell. Anyway, so we're gonna be playing Thursdays on Twitch here on Zweihander. Thank you, Zweihander folks, Grim and Perilous folks, Adam, Daniel, Matt, all of you for inviting us. We really appreciate it. It's very cool. And we're gonna be doing like series of sort of short stories, short adventures that might kind of have an overarching story, but it's more going to be kind of drop in, drop out, as not all of our cast can always make these Thursday nights, and so the 4 people here can actually play consistently. And when we can, we're going to try to get some of our other cast mates into the game as possible. So we're doing like short run adventures, maybe like 3 to 5 sessions, and then we'll have like a full arc. And then we'll do like another one, and so on and so on. And so that's kind of the plan until they tell us to stop, which could be in about an hour. So who knows? It's fine. I said before we went on, like, what's the first thing that's gonna break? My OBS stream or my spirit? And I don't know. We'll see. So we're not gonna do like actual character introductions like around the horn. We're gonna introduce them kind of in scene. As the story progresses. I think that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so players, do you have any questions before we dive in? Think hard. No. So stall for a minute so I can bring up whatever it is I need to bring up. All right.
How's everyone doing?
We haven't done our typical icebreaker. What's your favorite apple?
We already went over that. Macintosh. All right. Macintosh.
Red Delicious.
That's still ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Psychopath.
It's psychopath. All right.
My favorite apple is Tom Cruise's daughter.
Your favorite apple is whatever's
You're
in front
gross.
That's an apple. Her name's Apple.
You're gross.
Okay. So, let's dive in. And yeah, I think you're right, both, definitely. So hopefully that music's playing and not echoing. If it is echoing, I'll turn it off. So someone just say in chat. But we're going to start our adventure. So imagine, if you will, like a television show or a movie. We begin to fade in, and by that I mean like the camera is sort of like opening up, and we see this terrible, awful thunderstorm, and we see waves. We see cresting waves. We see giant squalls. It's a pretty terrible and violent storm that we're in. Somewhere in these dark seas that most don't travel regularly. It's dark out. There's occasional cracks of thunder and lightning, and all of this seems to be. It's definitely not the type of storm that anyone would want to be out on the waters while this is going on. And as the camera zooms in a little bit further, we find ourselves zooming closely in on a ship, because there is this one lone ship out on this dark ocean, waves cresting over top of it, crew members running around, grabbing onto riggings, shouting orders left and right. I don't know anything about naval orders, so I'm not going to try any. You can see that there's like ropes flying all over the place. There's masts that are looking on as if they're ready to break and tear, and you can see that the tide and the waves are kind of undulating back and forth. So back and forth. This ship is known as the Myopa. It is a ship that is traveling various trade routes, various travel routes from along what's called the Thorn Coast in the world in which we play, and going from different port to different port. And the 4 players that we have tonight are passengers on this particular ship, and you can see that most of the people on the deck are busy doing specific things, like they're doing jobs, or you can tell somebody with a very large and pompous hat is shouting orders at people, and others with less pompous but equally interesting hats are following those orders. And then as we continue to kind of zoom in, we start to dip below the deck itself to where we can see the crowded holds, where a variety of the passengers of more of the low-born variety are like huddled together. Some of them holding like buckets and vomiting their seasickness into that bucket. Some of them holding the other's hair. Others managing to have a bit more constitution and not letting their breakfast come up. And as we continue to zoom down, down the holds, we enter into the galley, where we see 2 individuals, one of whom is a fairly heavy-set young fella with bright orange and red beard and hair. It's got like a bandana wrapped and titled, and he seems to be running around with an apron on, trying to like tie down certain pots and pans, strapping them behind the shelves, and sitting at a table next to him is another individual. Justin, why don't you describe what they see?
So, the best way I could describe Oscar Tenderfoot is he is a quite rotund, panther-like individual. He has light tan hair and I think it was almond eyes.
Yeah. Okay. And so I would like you, if you could, first roll, Justin. Justin's never played Zweihander before, so this is going to be fun. Justin, I would like you to roll a toughness check really quick. Just treat it as standard. Well, just to see how sick and how awful this trip has been on you.
Which roll would that be from?
Toughness. So it's under brawn. Okay. All right. So, you as you're sitting there alone at the table, you're the only one in here, and you're swaying back and forth. Your feet are kind of feeling kind of wet, as below you there's like a small layer of like water that's kind of seeping in from the walls and from the deck above, as there's drips of water coming down, and you're leaned over top of the actual table itself, and you have this very nice pan in front of you, and periodically you're just like retching into it as the travel on the waves has not done you well. So you're gonna go ahead and you'll take 7 points of physical peril as Gregor, the ship's cook, comes over with his big meaty hands, and he kind of pats you on the back, and he pulls back a little bit on the mane that you have kind of flaring out to the sides, if you have something like that, or just keeping the curls or the ruffles of your coat. It'll be okay. It's okay. And just kind of patting you until you feel a little bit better. camera's going to zoom. It's going to kind of pull back out as we start to kind of navigate the ship's hold a little bit more. And we see in a corner by some hammocks that have been set up, that are not currently occupied, we see a small crate on top of which there are a bunch of different dice that are struggling to stay on top. They're often kind of falling off as the sway of the ship goes too far in one direction or the other. And you can see that there is a kind of a dark-skinned dwarven woman with kind of this large curly hair, and she's got these spectacles on, and there's this small lamp next to them that's barely giving off any light. And we see another individual sitting across from her as they seem to be playing some kind of game. Long, why don't you describe what your character looks like?
Yes, I am a very tall elf. Dark tan skin, normal build. I got straw yellow hair. And fine clothing.
Okay. All right. And go ahead and roll that toughness test for me and see how you're handling the ship thus far. Okay.
Hey.
You are doing wonderfully well.
Wow, crit success.
You've really wasted that crit success. But that's fine. That's okay. It's good. Never turn down a crit success. But you're sitting there, kind of arms maybe folded, looking down, and your playing partner is having much more difficulty, so that every time the dice come down, you can see as she leans down with her spectacles to try to read the answers, she suddenly vomits off to the side, leaving you time very quickly to just kind of tip the dice over into your favor. And when she comes back up, you can see that she has you definitely won that hand.
That's another one for me.
And she slides over about 5 brass pieces in your direction as you gain a little bit extra. We continue to kind of go down with the camera, down the holds a bit, and we see 2 fairly massive ogres that are standing, trying to sit, but their heads are kind of crouched down, and whenever the ship actually bumps, you can see both of them just kind of bang their heads a little bit because there's not a whole lot of room. Melissa, why don't you describe what yours looks like?
So I am playing an ogre. So she is 8'8", 614 pounds, light tan skin, light brown hair, hazel eyes. She looks sort of mismatched in kind of how she's attired. So she's got kind of like work pants on and work boots on, and then kind of has like a blouse and a vest kind of thing going on. And she is sitting next to a kind of similarly sized ogre.
Yeah. So go ahead and roll that toughness test.
All right.
And you two are struggling, and next to you, a very similar looking ogre, as if you have similar facial features, probably related in some way. You can see he's kind of leaning back a little bit, trying to find some sort of comfort, as like some sort of bag and that's been strapped down to the railing above is just like sweeping down in front of him, and he just looks down at you, and he just starts laughing, if your father could see you now, he just says, and we're gonna keep moving. So the camera just continues to zoom down the hold a little bit, and finally we see 2 young women that are huddled together out in front of what looks to be some kind of private cabin, but the private cabin is closed, and you can see like the door opens at one point, and this very posh looking woman with her wig slightly askance, and her scarf kind of done under, kind of popping up out of her shirt a little bit, seems to be very put out, and although she's very kind of angry, she's like, "Can we just stop with the rough and tumble? This is going to be very poor for your review." And Ashley, your character has heard this kind of stuff before, not necessarily from this old lady, but from a similar sort, from a similar crowd. You've worked with them before. So what do you look like?
Florence has very tan skin. She's a bit of a huskier woman. She's got long curly black hair and dark brown eyes.
Okay.
And She's dressed fairly well, pretty distinguished, you could say.
Okay, so go ahead and roll that toughness test for me. Let's see how you're doing.
Got it.
Ooh.
Wow. Wow. So
I'm starting off strong, you know.
Getting all the bad rules out of the way.
Surprise, except for
yeah,
Long. Long's dead right off. First combat.
Time on a
he's
boat,
dead.
guys. Come on.
It's ridiculous. Boat sinks. Long's the only one who survived. The end. Thanks for tuning in. So surprisingly, your traveling companion, friend from childhood, Daisy, is not sick. And that's very peculiar because normally she's always the one who gets sick, and it's you who are the healthy one. You who are capable of sort of withstanding the rough seas or withstanding the sickness or withstanding hard work. But no. This time around, it's actually her that's holding back your hair a little bit, your foppish hat off to the side, speckled porridge of some kind probably on it, and until you realize it was time to move it away. So, as all of you are kind of swaying back and forth, you're hearing all sorts of shouts. You're hearing rumors, people like little messages that are being passed down. Some of the other people in the passenger area are complaining. Obviously, others are praying. You see many holy symbols out where people are just asking that they just can we get through this one more time, just one more, and then it'll be okay. Can we just get to port? And then others are kind of relaying messages that they've heard above, like I heard the main mast broke. I heard, and then others are kind of relaying orders and stuff like that. But at a certain point, you hear an unequivocal shout of coming from above that slowly peters down as like a game of telephone happens, and you hear something about a light. There's a light in the sky. There's land, and then one by one, about 3 or 4 different crew members start coming down and speaking with groups of these passengers, saying something along the lines of the boat is beyond repair at sea. It's too dangerous to be out here, and any of you that are trying to get up and move, your feet are underwater as the ship. You're not sure if it's taking on water from the hull or if it's just the leaks from the rain above, but there's definitely a whole line that covers your ankles. And so the crew is starting to organize people into different groups, and they're saying they're going to start ferrying people off, and then they're gonna do it in groups and stuff like that. And as these people are kind of put out, like you all are grouped together, the 4 of you and Daisy, and you can see that your friend Dwally, the dwarf that you just cheated money off of, are all kind of pieced together in like a group of 6. And then you can see that the captain and her beautiful pompous hat is starting to give orders to specific crew members, like, okay, you're going with them, you're going to make them, you're rowing, you're staying with this group, etc. And after a few minutes of this, you're eventually taken above deck, all of you, and Gregor is sort of trailing behind you, Oscar, and telling you it's okay, it's gonna be okay, don't worry about it, it's gonna be fine. And all of you are kind of along the rails, like you're being instructed on what to grab. Always keep hold of something, never let go of something. Steady yourselves, and you can see that the ship is almost tipping to like a 45-degree angle at times, and you can see crates that haven't been yet, that had strapped down, are kind of sliding across. You can see that there's people kind of hugging onto the railing with all their might. But eventually you're lowered down into this small boat, this tender, and this skiff, whatever you want to call it. A couple crew members hop down with you, Gregor being one of them, and then a few that grab the oars, and they start rowing. And as you look up, you can't see anything. It's still incredibly dark out, and only the cascading lightning popping up gives you the contours of an island. You're not even sure which direction this island is. It could be north, it could be east. You're not even really sure. You also see a very faint light that occasionally blends through the cloud cover, like a lighthouse or something like that, off high in the distance. And as you're kind of rowing in, the the lightning continues to crackle, and you can see these huge cliffs that have gone up 100+ feet or so. But as you get closer and closer, one of the crew members, Gregor, is kind of holding up this kind of pole lantern, trying to keep some sort of sight. And eventually, you see a dock that's struggling in some ways to stay sturdy. It's almost underwater entirely. But eventually, they just push past it, and they go right to shore. And all of you start to unload and get off the boat. You can see a few of the people who are traveling with you, like the dwarven woman who you stole money from. She hops down on her hands and knees, and she starts like thanking the earth, like, "Oh, this is wonderful. This is great." And then Gregor stays with you, and the two crew members that are on the boat start heading back to the main ship to get the next group. As you look around, it's desolate. You don't see anything. There's no buildings nearby. As far as you can tell, it's just an empty island, and this dock is just sort of standing right there for no particular reason.
I'll immediately try and piece together any sort of idea of where we've arrived at.
Okay. Do you have what kind of skills do you want to try for? What are you thinking?
I have education. Does that help at all?
I mean, it can. The geography, map making, cartography, sure. Kind of a worldly folk. Make it challenging. You don't really have a whole lot to go off on, other than the route that you all have been taking.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, no good.
It's hard to really tell. You could tell for certain that this is no major port. This isn't like a Weishaven. This isn't like, which is a fairly large coastal town. This isn't even like an Edgar Ferry, which is a much smaller coastal town. But those are places that at least have populations, and a lot of them are right on the edge. This is just an empty beach and a pier kind of sticking out of it into the water. Is anybody else doing anything?
I'm just gonna say, like, well, you know, at least you tried your best.
That's good. Let it out. Let it all out. All of it.
I get speckles in my whiskers.
Okay.
Of just of vomit.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else doing anything?
I think Florence is just going to check in on Daisy more than anything to make sure she's okay.
Surprisingly, she seems to be doing well. She's fit. You can't really see her that well. There's really just the one lantern that Gregor has, and he's kind of keeping on this sort of pole stick. But from what you can tell, she's not of all the people around here. She's one of the only ones that doesn't look hale, doesn't look sickly, that seems to be keeping her stuff inside of her. Okay, so after everyone kind of settles, after everyone gets their land legs back, Gregor says, okay, we've been here before. It's okay. It's fun. It's not, a cosmopolitan place, but it's somewhere we can at the very least, bunker down and just ride out the storm. If memory serves, there's a couple settlements up the road there. And he points to this. It's not even a road. It's just kind of a rising ramp that seems to weave between these two cliffs, these two giant cliffs that are being contoured by the lightning from time to time. Captain said, I'm to make sure this group gets here. You're my charge, and what we need to do is we got to head over to the sanitarium. And if we get there, it's not like, a Holiday Inn Express or anything, but it'll make sure that, we can have a roof over our heads, food in our bellies, and give us time to make necessary repairs,
Wait a minute, there's Holiday Inn Expresses? I would expect like a La Quinta, but Holiday Inn
Page 320 of the core rulebook, yeah. There's a whole list of all hotel services.
I must not have read it that defined, I'm sorry.
No,
So you're definitely going to see a response of, did you say sanatorium?
No, sanitarium with an A. They're slightly different. I spent a significant amount of time researching the two of these things to make sure I use the right word.
But that, where are we?
Well, I'm not sure if it's got a proper name, but we tend to call it Ailing. It's okay. It's fine. It's just a bunch of whack job academics. You know, those kind of exotic types. You know, those weird folks like the books and things. They just, they come out here and it's not important. Let's just go. Let's just. Why are we waiting here? We're getting soaked, and you are getting soaked. You're all being drenched continuously. It's an absolute downpour.
It's cleansing because any of the chunks that may have been left are getting washed off in the rain. So this is actually
got a lot of vomit
good for
on
a
me.
couple minutes.
It's good to kind of get a shower, basically.
It's good.
Okay. So at this point, he starts moving a little bit up the beach towards the actual ramp. Is anybody following? Anybody staying behind? Anybody doing anything else?
Yeah, I'm not going to stay in this weather, guys. Chances of being struck by lightning are 1 in 700,000. It's best to get out of here.
Well, 1 in 700,000.
And I'll ask him about. He says there's researchers here, so I'll inquire more about that on the way in.
I don't want anyone to get too upset or anything, but I think this was like a leprosy colony. Don't worry, you're not gonna get it or anything. I don't think. But they came out here because they were studying them. They're good folk. They're trying to help people. That's all.
Are we going to catch this?
You're gonna catch cold if you stay in this rain any longer. We should probably get moving.
Sniffles, leprosy.
You're welcome to go back to the ship. It's about to sink, but that's okay.
So you see a very unhappy ogre that's kind of dusting herself off and collecting everything and feels like these are bad choices and this is absolutely not where she wants to be.
Are there ever happy ogres? I feel like
some days.
I feel like every ogre I've seen in the book is like always like angry. I just want them to be like big smile on their face, like hi. Good. Okay, so anybody else got something to say?
No.
Okay. So you start following him. Does anybody have any light sources?
We always come prepared with light sources, right?
I mean, I have torches, but I don't think those help me right now.
Probably not gonna work right now. Anyway, we got a lantern. I would say lantern.
I love lamp.
You won't be able to find an outlet. Sorry. Okay. So you start moving up this ramp, and you eventually come to sort of the crest of this hill, the crest of this ramp, and you can see that there's been a large wall of like cobblestone that has been built maybe about 15 feet high, and then you can see that there's these gates that are probably about half that height, built into kind of a cutout within that wall. They seem to be closed, and then there is kind of a large, like these large handles, for probably opening and closing it. But and standing next to it, you can see this stick has been knocked over. Hey, Chuck. You see this stick has been knocked over, and this bell is laying on the ground, kind of broken a bit, like the clapper on the inside isn't kind of attached anymore. So the doorbell seems to be broken. So when I sip coffee, so you all can decide what you want to do.
Maybe we should knock. It might be within our best interest.
You see an ogre pound.
Oh gosh.
There's a recommendation to knock, and then you just see this big, just pounding maw. I won't make the sound because that'll hurt everybody's ears. But there's a big thud, thud, thud.
So as you go up and slam on it, you can see it starts to wobble a little bit, and your cousin steps up behind you and just lays a shoulder into it, seeing the door start to wobble, and it just flings wide open completely.
I had this. I was good.
I don't think you were. And he steps forward, and Gregor trotting along with him. Be careful! Don't break anything. Yeah, they're prickly folks, you know. And so as the door swings open, the big gate, you all start stepping through, and you can see that the ramp kind of goes up slightly a little bit more until it crests out, and you're relatively even with these flanking cliffs. There's still like hills and stuff that change the elevation, but again, you're not getting great views. But again, every so often, every 10 seconds or so, as lightning strikes, flashes out, you can see in a bunch of different directions some various things. You can see like some buildings far in the distance. You can see trees. You can see other little partially constructed dwellings of some kind. You can see what looks to be a large tower far off to the east that's got that light hanging in it. But Gregor says, "Okay, we got to take," and he's holding up both his hands. The left, and which one's left? And he shows over to Oscar. Which one's left?
It's the one that makes the L.
What's an L?
It's like a 7 but upside down.
What's the 7?
It's the best. How'd you know what?
Florence just turns and looks at Daisy like, we're gonna die.
How do you not know what a 7 is or an L is, but you know what a sanatorium is? That's my.
I'm just telling you what I was told.
Okay.
I had to write it on my hand. You see.
Selective.
But yeah.
Okay.
Which doesn't make
So
any sense.
it's walking in that direction.
It's this way. Let's go this way. All right.
Okay. So he starts heading off, and you all begin to follow. And as you're walking, he's like kind of chatting up Oscar. Like the rest of you kind of see him. He's just constantly saying, "So, all you, where you go next? Where's your next bout? You know, I'm a big fan. You think?"
Let's not talk about that here. I'm just here to try and spread my holy word. Let's not worry about that right now.
What are you a big fan of?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. Thank you. I just like to
really
The musical or the real ones?
No.
I am a humble man here to try and help spread the word of my God, of the God Emperor. So I just want to. That's all I'm here for, to try and seek out new religions and communicate with those and kind of converse with that. So let's not worry about that.
Well, that seems a little bit weird if you're seeking out new ones when you want to spread the word of yours.
I'm here to get education. All right.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious,
An intellectual. Glad there's not a bunch of baboons out here.
Baboons or buffoons?
Both ogres definitely turn around and glare in that direction.
Well, okay. And so as they start moving forward, he leans over like, "No, but seriously, can you sign like your L and your 7 on like some stuff for me? Like, what's it called? An autograph? Well, I can't read what it says, but I can show it to folk. Yeah.
I'd later.
If you're trying to spread your word, you better do it.
We'll do it later. Okay? Don't worry about it right now. Okay?
So as you continue this westernly path, for about 10 more minutes, various chit chats happening. Periodically, your dwarven friend Mordio kind of reaches out, kind of grabs on. She seems to be struggling. She's like having trouble kind of standing straight. Like, I've got a dizzy spell. I can't seem to. Oh, can I just hold on to you?
Have you been drinking again?
No, I didn't drink at all. That's very, very presumptuous of you. I just can't quit get my land legs. Is that right? There's sea legs, but are the land legs?
That's fine. We don't want you falling behind.
So she just kind of clings to you here and there, just kind of swaying from time to time. Occasionally you see her drop some of her things, and she has to hustle back and kind of scoop them up, and then she runs forward a little bit. Florence, as you're walking, like every now and then, like Daisy will kind of sneeze all of a sudden. You just hear this like kind of quick sneeze as she seems to be kind of getting cold at this point. Sure wish I brought another. That's my Daisy voice. Sure.
Oh no.
It's terrible. I'll figure something out. I could do.
At least it's not Ethel Nurse or whatever.
Rebecca Nurse.
Rebecca Nurse.
Rebecca.
Sure wish I brought another coat. You got another coat, do you? You got another coat. You're always prepared. Going on all your adventures.
Let me look real quick. And she kind of like rummages in, and she realizes she doesn't really have anything extra, but she just like does like the typical like sweet boyfriend thing where she takes off her own jacket and drapes it over her shoulders.
Okay.
No, Daisy.
No, you're right. I should take it. That's fine.
So during this, you're going to see this big ogre woman is going to kind of like take her jacket off, which is in no way as fine as the clothing that are worn by these other folks. But she's going to take the jacket off and kind of go over and kind of seeing that the jacket kind of past hands, kind of go put it on the shoulder, sort of in a rough, like no real words, but just sort of a like kind of a.
And so as you drop this giant coat on her, it's like a heavy blanket, and it just takes her right to the ground. Now,
yeah, pretty much.
No, but she kind of she she gets a little sketchy at first, but eventually like she takes it and thanks you, but kind of hesitantly, right? Like a little suspiciously surprising to see someone of such a gruff demeanor demonstrating some sort of nicety. So you continue to travel, getting soaked. Greg is all, it's about maybe 30 minutes, I think. Not sure. We'll be able to see it soon. And as he's saying that, you all suddenly hear a sound that just kind of pierces through everything else. For now, it's just been constant downpour of rain, periodic strikes of lightning, and then the thunder that follows. And then suddenly you hear this kind of help.
I'm gonna start nervously shuffling through my bag. I have a little hip bag. I'm just gonna kind of.
Okay. Do you have a fanny pouch? Do you got a fanny pouch?
Yeah, I have a little bag.
Maybe
Yeah.
like, I got something.
Well, it's a
Got lip
rucksack.
balm.
So it's like it's like a
it's like a big
satchel. It's like a satchel.
Like a
Man
You know?
purse.
A male satchel. So I'm just gonna open it up and just
Satchel's
kind of
a
like
satchel.
rubbing something inside of it, just like. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. And then you hear again, like this. It's just got this weird kind of undulating wail, like. Help.
I'll listen out for the direction it's coming from.
Yeah. Anybody wants to do that? Go ahead and roll an eavesdrop test. Keep it at standard. Okay.
Pass.
All right.
Working on it. Oh.
Okay. So Big Sis and Florence, you two develop tinnitus, and it's just constant like ringing in your ears. But Oscar, on the screen it says the Holy Roller. He'll get into that later. Oscar and Mordio, you all start to kind of triangulate as maybe you chat with each other about it, but you can, so everyone's sort of looking around trying to see where things are coming from. It's somewhat ahead, but kind of off a little bit, kind of to your left. You're on like this clunky road with occasional puddles, like these huge puddles, chunks missing in the cobblestone. You can see shrubbery and stuff like that has been getting tossed all over the place is covering, but you're generally on like this decently easy to follow path, this road, but you can hear it kind of coming ahead of you and a little bit to your left. So I'm gonna try to do this for the first time. Bear with me as I'm gonna bring a map up. Let's see how this goes. Okay, here we go. Excited.
Bear's not here though.
Oh, stop it. Okay. So, if you can see, let me move everybody, move the players to it now. So you should be able to, if I
That's
get...
Justin?
What? Yes, that's Justin. I mean, he's a cat person. I was gonna kind of screen cap Idris Elba from Cats, But that's way too good.
Call me Mr. Toughness.
It's way too good looking for Justin, so I couldn't do it.
He's just so handsome. I mean, who could match Idris Elba even as a cat person? It's impossible.
Okay. So you all are kind of traveling on this somewhat like western, northwesternly bound path. You can see kind of down in the, let's call it the southeast. But you can kind of hear something off the road. You can't really see particularly well. The lamp, or God, I keep doing it. The lantern that Gregor is carrying is kind of giving off some light, and you can see in some distance, a few yards off the road in each direction, kind of radiating around. But you can definitely hear it off to the northwestish.
Point in that direction and then tell the big ogre, someone's calling for help over there. You seem to be an assisting type. As I remember when she put her coat.
An assisting type.
We will. And so, yes, I am Cicely Big Sis. So she's going to kind of elbow her cousin, and they will head off in the direction that was pointed out to them.
Okay. All right. So who is going and who is staying?
I guess because I could see where it was coming from. I guess I'll go.
Okay. Daisy and Dwally are saying, we could just stay here. We're good here. So they're gonna kind of hang back. You do your thing, and Daisy's actually very excited. She's very excited to see you do your thing. She's heard so many tales and adventures of Florence McRae, and she's like, she finally gets to see it in all its glory. So.
Oh no!
And this is where Ashley rolls a crit fail for like everything.
What?
Quit trying to jinx me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, let's see, Mordio and Big Sis, and so is it just the four of you? All four of you going, or is anyone staying back?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you start moving. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for myself so I'm not losing my mind. You start moving kind of off the road a bit. You'll see that kind of Gregor kind of hangs back kind of in between, making sure that you're getting a little bit of light, but is also trying to ensure, like, you're like Gregor, Justin?
Is that me? Is that like a picture of me?
No,
I'm
it's not.
confused.
It's one of my favorite.
It's just like me.
It's my favorite profession in game. It's my absolute favorite profession in game. It's called a butcher priest. They're so good. I just thought he looked funny. So he's just kind of hang back with the rest of them on the road as you kind of go and kind of peek in, and as you get within about, let's say, a couple yards, you can see that the ground itself doesn't have much grass. Like you can see like bushes and stuff here and there, but there's not really a whole lot of grass. It's just a lot of dirt, and that dirt has gotten muddy. And so you're kind of trudging, your feet are slipping, your boots are getting caked. You can see a full-on pool beginning to form just north of you a little bit. But eventually you see what looks to be a building of some kind. And as you get a little closer, you notice that the water and the mud that is outside of the front door is colored in a way that's somewhat different than the surrounding, but it's more reddish in some way. And you think they're either, maybe it's paint, maybe it's blood. You're not entirely sure. What do you guys want to do?
Well, first off, I'm gonna start really wrestling in that rucksack, right? Because I'm just like, I'm just a simple priest. I'm not equipped for this type of stuff. I'm just here to spread the word of the Lord. Someone else is gonna have to deal with this. I can't.
Okay.
Are you backing away?
I'm just gonna Other people are better equipped for this than me. I'm just gonna wait for someone else to take care of this.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to do anything?
I don't have enough information to make a detailed analysis. Could you please continue?
I love your character.
Me too. Okay.
Big Sis has readied a weapon.
Okay.
Like it looks like blood. This is something to be prepared for.
All right. And none of you have light sources, huh? None of you have a lantern or anything?
How much is a lantern?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I have a bottle bomb. Can I just light it and be ready to throw it at any time?
Just chuck it at the building right now. You know.
Let's see what it looks like in there.
That'll certainly get some light up for sure. Okay, so Big Sis, you move up a little further, and you're welcome to control your characters, by the way, within reason, like, obviously, but you're welcome to control. Respect the. The players have like a little bit of what's that called, dynamic lighting and stuff, and fog of war or whatever. But don't be looking at don't be looking at the stream, by the way, because you're gonna be seeing things you shouldn't. All right, that's like 30 corruption. All right, so Big Sis, Florence, the two of you step up, and you can see that there's a door that seems to be somewhat askant, somewhat ajar, but still hanging on the jamb itself. But it definitely seems like there was some sort of jostling that has happened. And you can see that there is this like liquid that's swirling and spooling underneath that door as it comes out onto the front step.
Okay, so what you're going to see is she's going to take her, I think she's got a maul. That's her weapon. And so she's basically going to be kind of pushing the door open with it, if that makes sense. So she's kind of got it out and then kind of using that to try to kind of push the door open.
Okay. So you push open the door, and I will let you go inside. So you step up, hang on, and you take a peek inside. If I can grab this, I can do this. Or maybe not. I might not be able to do this.
And she's going to kind of look behind her and see if anyone else is going to be going in with her, if this is kind of a lone venture, kind of looking around. It looks like one of the group is already kind of fallen back a little bit.
Okay. So you step up. There we go. Got it working. Door opens up, and you can see on the ground, much like that Mandalorian episode, a man, half a person seems to be at this doorway. You can see legs. You can see the stuff that comes out the middle of like a body when there's no top to the body. It's funny. I'm still doing like hand symbols, even though none of you can see me. Like this is, I don't know what's going on. It's the Italian in me. But anyway, so you see this body laying on the ground, and it's just filled with, there's blood and all over the place. You do not see the top half.
So,
by the Emperor, what has happened to this man?
And I'll go ahead and have all of you go ahead who can see this, because it's a fairly grisly sight. Go ahead and roll me. We'll make it a kind of a routine resolve test at this kind of grisly sight.
I have been rolling real well.
All right, so let's see. Mordio's got a pass. Let's see. Florence failed.
oh,
All
how
right.
did I fail? That would like not bother me at all.
I mean,
My
That's how
streak
the dice roll.
continues.
okay, so
Just like that rookie cop on the scene. Oh my god!
all right, so we'll have Big Sis and Florence go ahead and take 5 points of mental peril at the sight of this grisly scene.
You're going to see Big Sis definitely turn away from wherever Lucas is to like definitely not be showing that this bothered her.
He hung
anyway.
back. He doesn't see the point in doing this. He's not a hero. He doesn't
I'll
care.
step forward This doesn't bother me as much because as a parishioner, I have some, contact with medical stuff and dealing with those that are hurt and less fortunate. So I'm gonna go up and try and examine the body. Is
Okay.
that all right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you step in, and that's when the trap goes off. Now, you step in. Go ahead and take a look.
Shoot!
All right. I don't think you have heal, but you can go ahead and roll it at flip to fail. Go ahead and roll a standard heal check at flip to fail to see
Wait.
what you can learn.
Oh.
He's gonna try to heal him.
We're gonna heal the person. That's
He's pushing the intestines back
Everything's
in.
gonna be fine.
You're gonna be okay.
It's okay.
It's like that. Oh man, what's that movie with the peanut butter and jelly, like where they were lovers? Like it was like the Seth Rogen thing, and like the jelly, like I'm gonna fix you.
How do I do a flip to fail?
Just roll it, and then basically we switch the digits, and if either of the ordering of those digits would make you fail, then you fail. So if
Do you have any handicap on this?
no, just what did I say? Just make it standard. It's fine. Okay, so
Nice.
you actually
nice.
roll a 21, which is a really good roll for flip to fail.
Guys, I think he's fine. I think he's fine.
So you have concluded this person is definitely not alive, and it looks as though the cause of
I'm
death.
saying, I'm like, it seems the upper half of his body's missing.
It seems as though the cause of death has been bifurcation.
Everyone's like, "Are you sure?"
But
I'll do another check.
As you look more closely, you're not a doctor, you can't tell for sure, but you've eaten a lot of steak before, and this definitely looks like this body has been gnawed on a bit. And so something chewed. No way to tell exactly what, but something chewed. Also, as you step in, you notice that this seems to be some kind of like storehouse, maybe for like different like fishing equipment, boats. You see a couple boats have been stacked up and are kind of dislodged as a tree in the northwest corner of this building has collapsed onto the roof and has sent all sorts of the cobblestone walls tossed all over the room. You can see some of the crates have been dislodged or broken. It's just a huge mess. There's blood patterns here and there all over the room as well. It seems.
Oh my God! This man was eaten by this tree.
It's true. There are dangerous trees in this game. Be careful.
So Big Sis is going to take a big step over this body and come inside as well.
Roll a trivial coordination test.
Oh dear.
Please fail.
Probably.
She slips on the body. Like, oh God! Oh God! It's all over me.
Oh jeez. We don't use the.
Oh my gosh.
She's like rolling on the ground with the intestines on her, like she's covered in snakes. Ah!
I should point out, by the way, that we do have fortune points. So if you want to re-roll that, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and do that.
Don't. I want to know.
Do
I
we
think you
are
should.
this soon? No.
We have five.
No.
We have five. You have 5 fortune points that you can use.
While her dignity might be gone, it's better to save the
Okay,
fortune
so you
points.
slip and you fall and you just kind of get
Ugh.
covered in all sorts of terribleness. And as you get up, you slip again, and then you finally get up on the third try, covered in everything. Meanwhile, Oscar is staring at you while this is all happening. I don't know what's going through Oscar's mind, but yeah, you're inside now and you're covered in goo.
To be fair, I don't really look like a coordinated person, so it's
That's
kind
why I
of
want you
like,
to roll it. Oh man. Okay, so you're inside. You see the same thing Oscar sees. Mordio
coming
and
in.
Florence. Mordio, what are you doing?
I'll just trail behind everyone.
Okay. All right. So you step inside. You see this body on the ground, bit chewed, gnawed on, etc. You see blood kind of trailing a little bit towards the tree. You're not sure if it's coming from the tree or if it's going to the tree, but you see other splotches of blood. You don't see anybody else immediately inside here. There's no clear. There is a lantern, however, sitting on top of the crate right next to you, Oscar. It's been tipped over onto its side, but it seems none the worse for wear.
kind of pick it up and see if I can get it working.
Sure. If you have like matches or something like that, you can absolutely do that. All right.
I don't believe I do, but if I got a bottle.
So you
bomb,
throw it down on the ground and it shatters because you're so angry.
Oh no.
Damn
You
it!
got a bottle bomb.
I couldn't save him.
You throw the bottle bomb inside the lantern. It explodes, and you've ruined the bottle bomb in the lantern. You've set everybody on fire. The door shuts closed, and you can't get out. Okay.
Big Sis has matches, so if she sees you fumbling around, she'll kind of toss you.
So
where's the fire come from?
all right. So you can get a little bit more kind of visibility now with him kind of carrying that lantern. All of you go ahead. As you start to move inward, you notice Oscar that there seems to be another body kind of on the northwest side where the walls have collapsed. There's somebody laying there. They're not saying anything. You can't see it. Well, there's too much that's obscuring your vision, but you can certainly see like an arm kind of flailed out to the right or so on the ground. You're not sure if it's maybe the upper half of this gentleman or if it's somebody new.
Well, I can't get in there. I am too what's the word? Thick. And I can't find my way through that. So someone else got to go through there for me. It looks a little tight.
Is anyone volunteering for that?
Maybe someone who's maybe shorter than most. Might be a dwarf style human.
We actually don't have.
What?
No, we have.
What are you talking about?
I thought Dwally was a dwarf.
Dwali's not here. Dwali was
NPC.
was Mordio's gambling friend.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Big Sis is bigger than you, so she's not going to try to fit through that.
Who's going to volunteer to go through all the woods and blood?
I think that'll be fine.
I played with the half body. All right, someone else got to step up.
And then
What is Florence again?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What is Florence?
She's a human.
She's human. She'll kind of move forward closer.
Okay.
But she's still a little bit hesitant. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's definitely cluttered in here. Like Oscar's not wrong. Like you can all get through, but like you'd have to kind of bend back branches, slide some stuff out of the way. But you can get through. You can also go around.
Do you think those maps to the south are a little bit valuable that maybe want to kind of look at to get an idea of the area?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, if you go over and you take a look at them, you probably recognize some of it. Some of it's just like a map of the Thorn Coast a bit. You can see like the big Vicehaven, like port city on the west side of that coast, and you can see like a river path that goes to the capital. It's nothing revealing exactly where you're at, however.
So Big Sis is going to get kind of annoyed by the waiting and just try to push and squeeze her way through.
Okay. So you get through just fine, no problem. Little scrapes and things like that, but you manage to get through, and you can see that there is a person laying here, and you can see that they're breathing, but pretty poorly.
So can I do a heal test to see kind of what's up with them?
Okay, sure.
Standard?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'd actually just probably give it to you since you do have heal. Like you can tell they're bleeding profusely, and if that bleeding is not staunched quickly, like within literally minutes, this person will likely bleed out. They have a fairly large but strangely shaped bite wound on their side from which most of this bleeding is coming, and one of their arms seems to be torn up pretty badly.
It's going to be okay, and she'll reach in and
They're
grab
not
a bandage.
conscious. Yeah. Okay.
So do you want me
Is
to
anyone here
roll heal?
proficient in healing at all, or have type of healing skills?
I have the heal skill.
Okay.
You don't have to roll a check to staunch bleeding. It's just an action. So
Okay.
But you manage to staunch the bleeding. It doesn't
Start shoving branches into the wounds to try and. This works, right?
Oh,
That's what you do if you don't have the heal skill.
Okay. Mordio, go ahead and can you roll an eavesdrop test for me really quick. Let's call this easy. No, let's call this easy. The 20% one. All right, so you hear something outside the door, and I think probably at first glance, first thought, you think it's probably just whoever happens to be kind of following along, but you see suddenly stepping into the actual room itself, this strange like creature just steps into the doorway, filling it up from side to side, just maybe 4 feet, 3.5 feet off the ground. But it is like no creature you have ever. It's like part lizard, part wolf. It's got this strange kind of snake-like head that's almost like vestigially like coming out of its neck and like weaving and dragging across the ground, while this large mouth is kind of staring at you with eyes that seem to be patched together awkwardly. And as it steps in, you can hear coming from the mouth of that snake-like head being dragged on the ground, you hear, "Help."
This is I saw this movie. I saw this.
I just saw it like a week ago. It's cool. So roll for initiative. Let's do that.
Oh.
What was that movie again?
Annihilation.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly like what I'm thinking. It's like, it's the bear creature. That's what it is.
Yeah. I love that part, man. When that bear comes in, scares the hell out of everybody. Okay, so remember, you roll a d10, and then you add your initiative.
I thought there was a button for it though.
I don't think there's one for initiative. I could be wrong though.
15.
Yeah, right. Hang on one sec.
We got 17.
I also have a 17. So what's the tiebreaker?
I think the higher bonus.
Gotta reset this thing.
Whoever has the higher PB.
Yeah.
Justin, what's your PB?
7.
Mordio, what'd you say?
Yours
15?
is higher.
15
Yes.
for Mordio. Gotcha. And then Florence, what do you got? We should have done this beforehand, but
10.
we were all freaking out.
I'm rolling so well today.
This is great. I mean, it's okay. Like, you got all the bad rolls out before life and death situations.
I'm excited to die.
That's all I ask. Big sis, what do you have?
17, but I'm going to be behind Justin because he's got a higher PB than I do.
Okay. Come on, this is a family stream.
Just so you know, this is going to work out perfectly for what I want to do right now. And I feel like Jeff knows exactly what I'm about to do. So
What? Well, we do share like a brain or something, I've heard.
yeah. So
All right, I'm just going to give him...
Did you only give Justin like basic bodily functions or?
What? I don't understand that question. I don't understand that question at all. I didn't control him. All right. So let me bring up my guys here. All right. So one of them's going to go first. The one stepping inside is actually got a higher. Yeah, so the one stepping inside here has a 18. They have an ability called Ambush, which means they basically can roll 2d10 for their initiative. So, and then the other one's 17, but I'll go ahead and give that to you guys because I don't want to look up what their PB is. All right, so the one inside, as Mordio was lingering behind, you watch as these two creatures were kind of stealthily moving up and around, and step in to see that their catch, or their whatever it is that they were chewing on, is being poked and prodded at by this elvish man with a book. I assume you're just carrying a bunch of books. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attack you and try to kill you in the first episode. Let's see if we can get that done.
It's good to have goals. It's good to have goals.
All right. So I think what it'll probably do, because they have an ability called Ripping Teeth, where they can force people to do takedowns. So I'm going to go ahead and take an aim, and then I'm going to roll an attack, and we'll see what happens. That's 2 AP. All right. So despite the fact that this thing kind of didn't quite get the jump on you as you heard them at the last minute, just in time to turn around, as they snap away, you manage to sort of dodge slightly out of the way, so they can't quite hit you. And then it'll be, looks like Holy Roller's turn next. As you, Morty, are you screaming? Are you shouting? Are you saying anything?
Yeah, seems we got a situation over here.
Okay.
So
We're also being rated. So
Nice.
yay.
Thanks.
all right, so
Thank you.
here's what's gonna happen.
Thank you, Party
Okay.
White Games.
So I'm gonna start off with moving towards the animal because I believe I have the ability to get to this
Whoa,
point.
whoa. Mordio is not an animal. All right. I said isn't.
Yeah, I'm getting
That's
close
so
to this
rude.
freak.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
this freak in nature. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with some what's the thing where it's like you are like taunting them?
Oh,
Litany of hatred.
You want to do a litany of hatred?
So I'm gonna do litany of hatred. So what's gonna happen is I'm going to rip off my ropes, and underneath you will see
Oh no.
a beautiful luchador uniform. I have high red boots, a small small set of trunks, and I will then reach into my bag and pull out my mask and put it on and say, "You have finally come across the wrong person. I am the Holy Roller. You will rue the day you decide to come into this house." And that's going to be my litany of hatred. So I got to roll for that. Right?
Yeah, you gotta roll an intimidation check. Your fellowship bonus is pretty high, and there's only 2 of them, and they can that you know of. You ridiculous man.
Intimidation, where's that at?
It should be under Brawn, I believe.
There we go.
Intimidate.
Oh my gosh.
Do I get any bonuses or anything?
Do you have any talents or anything that affect this?
No.
No,
I don't believe so.
just roll this in.
Bam.
Okay.
So I kind of cut a promo, right? Because I'm a wrestler. What you guys weren't aware of that what's his face was talking about the whole time is I'm the legendary Holy Roller, the wrestler, the cat wrestler that is here to try and save the day. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and get a nice little chokehold on this piece of crap. Okay, so I'm gonna do a perilous stunt of a chokehold.
Okay.
So which
I
one is
wish
that one?
stream could see Justin right now. Like
He's like sweating. The lights are so terrible.
All right, so what do I roll for that?
I'm sorry. I honestly wasn't really paying attention.
Chokehold is athletics.
Chokehold.
Okay. So yeah, chokehold is.
I have one in there, so I
So you
have
have
to.
1 AP left. So this is your last. This is your last thing to do.
I have 1 dot in athletics, so I do a.
Yeah, it'll the character sheet will automatically calculate.
Okay.
That. So you can.
Oh boy, that really.
I was about to actually give you an easier opportunity because you're outnumbered. But that doesn't. Yeah. So.
Really, that really blew up in my face.
So as you reach down to try to grab this thing, you grab it like by what you think is its head, like this strange kind of mix of wolf and reptile, and start to choke it, and then that limp snake head
Got it.
comes back around and like whips underneath you, and you fall down and you start rolling around in the blood. So you're gonna take.
I'm just screaming in horror. That's all over me.
Take 9 points of physical peril as like the exertion of you reaching down and squeezing your hands start to cramp just a little bit, and then you fall down to the ground and have to kind of embarrassingly stand up.
That imperils me. So
Okay, so if that exceeds, it exceeds your peril threshold, so move down 1 step. So just click the the button.
Yeah, I got it.
So you're at imperiled, I assume. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nothing really happens at imperiled, so you're okay. But if you go down 1 more, then you're gonna have to start ignoring a skill rank.
That really blew up in my face. This was supposed to be a whole moment.
It was a
And,
moment. It was a totally different kind of moment, but it was still a moment, and that's all that matters. Speaking of moments, we've had plenty of time, Big Sis, to figure out what you want to do. What do you want to do?
Okay, so Big Sis is going to take her maul and she is going to take aim at that little creepy vestigial thing coming out of the shoulder.
So, so are you doing? You're taking aim. Where are you? Like, because on my screen you're still back by Florence.
Oh, sorry. Then I'm going to move myself so that I am right next to where I need to be.
So you're
1 AP to hustle.
You're okay. So what's your movement? There's a lot of stuff to kind of hustle over top of here. What's your?
Sorry, I think I didn't see it there. My movement is 5.
All right, so it's gonna take you multiple moves, multiple hustles to actually get. And I'll say you can get there in 2. That's fine.
All right, then I will do. And okay, so now that I've got my bearings on where I am, then I will go ahead and spend the 2 AP for a charge.
No, you can't really charge here. There's too much clutter.
Oh,
like it's like
okay.
This is effectively like hard terrain because of all like the rubble and stuff on the ground. But you can take 2 hustles and get within range.
Okay.
To do something with 1 more AP.
Then I will go ahead and make an attack with my splitting maul.
Okay. You can do this at routine. You guys got this thing kind of surrounded at this point.
All right, let me do that first.
Man, I'm really disappointed in myself.
I mean, I think everyone's disappointed in you, Justin. So.
I mean, it's what's to be
Definitely
expected, really.
made an entrance.
And now you're just like in this wrestling outfit covered in blood. You just got it all dirty.
Just kind of waiting there, just like.
Your dry cleaning bill is going to be intense. Okay, so that's a success.
This is a success.
So this thing did have 1 AP left, so I'll go ahead and roll dodge, but it'll be at challenging for me.
It is a slow weapon, so you get a +10.
It'll be at standard for me. Not dodge. Let me see. So this limp snakehead kind of whips out and attempts to try to move aside your weapon, and as you kind of crunch down with the maul, almost just like it's a rope, this limp snakehead just kind of wraps around and pulls the maul slightly off center, and you while you glance it kind of just it just kind of moves slightly off of its off of its scaly exterior and slams against the ground.
Yeah, those are my 3 AP.
All right, Mordio.
Oh, the high roller. I hope that's all just part of your act.
He did roll 100, so that's pretty high rolling.
As I pull out a dirk and try and attempt to stab this creature.
Okay. Do you want to do anything else? Perilous stunts or anything ahead of time?
I'll do a take aim 1.
Go for it, man.
Jeff, I am going to have to insist, though, anytime it's my turn, that you turn it back to the other scene where people can see me, because I think a lot of this has to do with
I want people to
the
stay
visuals I'm
watching us.
creating. Yeah.
I forgot I had music for us. I want people to actually watch the stream and enjoy themselves. I'd be terrified.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead and use a fortune point here.
All right.
All right.
Okay. To re-roll that?
Yeah.
Go for it, man.
First one of the night.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
Wait, there's fortune points?
Yeah. You can't re-roll a crit, though. You can't roll a crit. A crit failed. Like, so there's nothing you can really do about that. Okay. So 14 damage,
Yeah,
man.
1 exploding on that, so.
Okay. So that's going to move them down. I'm just checking to see how far it moves them down. That will move them down 2 steps on the track. Let me roll.
Oh.
Oops, sorry, wrong button. There we go. Okay, no injury. But yeah,
Nice.
So you see this, you see these 2 large individuals, one of whom drops this robe, this facade, and is dressed in an amazing wrestling outfit, fail spectacularly at attacking and trying to choke this thing, slipping and falling, rolling around the blood. Then you see this massive ogre come stomping, thump, 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 reaches back and swings down with his big hammer, only to have it ripped aside by this strange limp snakehead that seems to talk. And then this relatively skinny book nerd just slides in between them and just shivs this one just a little bit, like little really fast shots right at the ribs. You think they're the ribs of this creature. And then, I believe...
He just goes, "This is from Antonio Scapaci." Just steps in the stomach.
I actually skipped my other guy, but I will go ahead and do it. Now, sorry about that. The second one that was outside actually should have gone before Mordio, but that's fine. This one's going to... I mean, it's kind of a little difficult in there. I'm gonna run around.
We got it cornered.
Okay. And so, yeah, I had enough movement to go around. I can't do anything else. But Florence, you suddenly see emerging from the darkness like this strange, like this weird, like rumbling. This one comes up behind you, and you can see this one doesn't have the same sort of construction as the one at the door.
Okay.
Okay, so this one looks almost like it has bird-like features to it. It's got this long beak, but you can see these jagged teeth that are coming out of it, and then it has what almost looks like a featherless wing, awkwardly protruding out one of its sides, at the end of which is almost like a sharpened bone. But it can't do anything. It just kind of got into your business, so you're up.
Florence is going to... Let me pop that window out. She's gonna make sure that she's in between like the injured guy and the monster to kind of like keep its attention on her. So she'll spend one on some movement.
Cool.
And then she'll actually spend one to withdraw her rapier.
Okay.
And then she's going to attack.
All right. Go ahead. Standard. Nothing special here. Hey, look at you.
Finally.
Look at you. That 5 points of damage. Do you want to use any of the fortune points to explode that? Justin,
yeah,
I don't know if we talked about this, but like you can use fortune points a bunch of different ways. One of the ways that you can use them is to, when you roll that D6 Fury die for damage, if you roll like less than a 6 and you want to make it a 6 to explode, you can spend a fortune point and that'll automatically explode it. So you can roll another D6 and start chaining damage. Sorry, Ashley.
I'll do one. I'll shoot for a...
Okay. Go ahead and roll a D6.
Wow. Okay.
All right, 6 damage.
I'm glad I used it.
To be honest, it's actually good that you did, because that does exceed their threshold, whereas the previous one didn't. So it's a good thing that even that one little damage actually moves it down a step. So it's totally worth it. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the top of the round, and at this point, this thing is now surrounded. When you look at it, this one at the door, it's got all these eyes that are kind of sticking out at different sides of its head, and it looks confused, like as if its eyes kind of shooting out in different directions, and it's going to instinctively just snap out and bite. I'm gonna do a 1d6, 1 to 2. It's gonna be Holy Roller. 3 to 4, Mordio. 5 to 6 will be Big Sis.
I am ready.
It's gonna be Big Sis. So this thing's gonna snap out at Big Sis, and I'm not gonna do anything special with it.
It does have
That's-
Litany of Hatred on it though, right? So
Yep. Between that and the extra d6 that she rolled, it actually made it so that it got underneath the damage threshold, so it took damage. So Litany of Hatred basically just makes it easier to do damage to them. Doesn't change how easy it is to hit them.
Oh, I thought it was them attacking as well. Okay.
No. Okay, so that's a hit on Big Sis. Do you have any AP to try? I don't think so, right?
No, I do not.
All right, so you're going to take 9 points of damage, and then I need you to resist a takedown. So it's an automatic. They have a trait called Ripping Teeth. They can make a foe resist a takedown.
All right, so this is a coordination test that I need to do. At what difficulty?
Just standard. I rolled the attack at standard, so roll this at standard. I shouldn't have. Probably I should have rolled it probably weaker, but whatever. Too late now.
All right, so this is a standard, and it's a coordination.
-10 to dodge or parry on this. Sorry. So just keep it at standard though, because I should have made his attack one step more difficult. So just keep it at standard.
We're now a VIP. I don't know what that means, but we're now a VIP.
I succeeded.
Okay, excellent.
Hey, I can be coordinated.
So you rip the maul away out of the kind of the snake head that had wrapped around it, and you managed to just shift it just in time so that the bite of this maw lands on the edge of the maul itself, and then you still took the damage, but like you managed to, as it kind of pushes into you, but you don't fall down miraculously. And then this thing's gonna run outside, and if the three of you can take opportunity attacks if you would like, as it's gonna run away from you.
What do I hit with?
Whatever you have. If you have a melee weapon, do you have a melee weapon? I don't think so. I think you tried to chokehold it. You can bare hand attack, but usually.
I have melee weapons. I have a one-handed.
Yeah, but you didn't. Did you have it out though?
Oh no.
Yeah. So.
I will try.
Okay, go for it. And Mordio, you can use your shiv if you like.
A crit success.
Crit success? Look at this guy with his crit
go.
successes. Okay, I can't do it. I can't do anything because I'm running away.
This little nerd's doing a better job than me.
Hit. Cicely hit.
Okay, that's gonna, between the two of you,
I did 7 damage.
So that's gonna, let's see.
I mean, it's not as good as long as crit, but I mean, just saying.
I really like how the librarian over here is totally outplaying the tough folks. All right, so this one you can see whatever you did to it. You see bits of scale and fur just kind of rip out from it. Strangely, you don't see any blood at all come out from it. Like nothing on your weapons. There's like this kind of green, it's just kind of green paste a little bit, but you don't see any kind of blood come out of it. And as it goes kind of running out, you can see that, let me roll for injury really quick here. This thing does take an injury, and I'll say that it just, as you see it moving out, it begins to slowly limp away. You can tell that you basically took one of its legs like clean off its hinge, and it doesn't really seem to be capable of moving. It's now effectively a sitting duck. Not literally, outside the door. Then, Holy Roller, it is your turn. This thing's just sitting there waiting to be hit. It's on the verge of death, you can tell for sure.
I'm gonna head out there. Let me see here. I'm gonna head out there, get next to it. So I'll sit right about here, just in case anyone else wants to come out. And I will pull out my wooden folding chair. Because I'm a wrestler and I have a folding chair.
Now, can I ask you a question? Like, where are you keeping this thing?
It seems to come out of nowhere, but I just it appears.
Right,
I have my folding chair.
All right, Justin, I'm putting you back on screen so they can see you in your.
So I'm just over and I'm by it. I'm like, and I just out of clear blue, and it's just right there in my hand. I'm over the top of it. So I'm going to use my wooden folding chair.
I want you to have like a scabbard for it. You just got to pull it out of the scabbard.
Or it's out of my back.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and call out my shot. So I did 1 AP to move, and I'll do a cold shot with this.
So a cold shot is higher difficulty, okay? But it's undodgeable, unparryable if you hit. So it's going to be slightly higher difficulty, and you're stepping away. So basically it's going to be... This thing's pretty limp and dead, so I'm going to keep it at standard. It seems to be moving really, really slow, but normally it goes up slightly higher. But go ahead and just roll it standard in this particular case. It's fine.
All right, so wooden folding chair, roll.
Actually, I made the item.
It actually says wooden folding chair.
Because I rolled. It's iconic traffic. It's perfect.
That's awesome.
So I hit. I do 9 damage, right?
We thought about doing like a portable wrestling ring, kind of like a portable hotelier. But this is better.
So I raise it over my head and say, "How dare you try to leave us, you fiend!" And just crack on the top of its head. And it has one of the effects on it. It has entangling. So like the way I see it is, it's broken through the bottom of the chair.
Okay.
It's like kind of around them like this. And so it's just his head and his shoulders are through it, and just going.
And so,
I bet.
and so as you put your boot down to kind of hold the body, and you pull the chair out of it or off of it, you can see the snake head just kind of look up at you one time really quickly, and its eyes kind of glazing, and says, "Help!" And then it flops down onto the ground, no longer moving. Okay, I'm gonna switch us back to the combat map now.
That's creepy. That's really creepy.
You're creepy. Okay. My goal in this
I put some
campaign.
flavor in this, man.
My goal in this campaign is to make Justin scared, because Justin gets scared at everything. He hates.
He
playing.
does.
Oh, it's so good. It's what we tried to play Amnesia together once, and he got like 45 seconds into the game, and then he quit.
It was like
It was 45 seconds. A door opened, you freaked out, and then you stopped playing. All right.
I do want to look up. I'm gonna look at my total time played on Amnesia right now.
Big sis, you're up. What do you want to do?
Is it dead?
All right.
It is dead.
Okay.
So Big Sis is not going to know that death happened. So Big Sis is going to.
You're close enough. You're close enough. I think you would have seen.
You think I heard that?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's fine.
All right. I didn't want to metagame. So if that's the case, then she's going to kind of turn around behind and see if there's anything else worth looking at.
Okay.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I yelled when
Mordio's
I
right
got
there.
attacked.
Pretty good looking.
Mordio is kicking ass, so I mean, good. Congratulations and a handshake. So
thanks,
she is going to. So if my movement is 5, how many movement would it take me to get over to where the action is?
I mean, each square is like a yard. So just treat it that. That's how we're treating it. So it should take you, I think, probably 2 movements to get over there. I'm not doing anything fancy with like diagonals or anything like that. So like,
all right,
be fine.
So I'm just going to move myself over there with 2, and then with my last one, I'm just going to do a little attack.
Okay, a little attack. Okay.
Well, I mean, I can't oversell here because I've been doing such a great job.
Are you going to attack the person that you bandage and is there, or you want to attack the actual bad creature? Because like you got yourself situated next to the thing that you saved.
Sorry.
It's fine. No, I'm all for it. Join my team. It's better.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So we do a little of that, and we do a little of that. And we fail.
Okay.
And I'm going to spend one of those fortune points.
Okay. I'll move you. Go ahead.
And I'm going to try that again.
Okay. I said it's an easier difficulty because you're outnumbering it, but it wouldn't have mattered with your 97.
Yeah, no.
Good.
So do you want me to change the difficulty down a little bit?
Just by 10.
All right, so I'm going to drop it down to routine.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Sounds
And
good.
we're going to do this again.
Do you like my fortune and misfortune points? Look at those things.
Pretty good.
I love the
That's pretty cool.
skulls. The skulls with the crowns on them. Ah, so good.
All right,
There
that's
you go.
better.
11 damage is enough to move it down 2 tracks, in fact. So I think it's going to have to do 2d6s now. It's good on injury. And then it'll be its turn, because I had done it out of order last turn, but I'm going to write it this time. So since you actually just did damage to it, I'll just do a d6. 1 to 3, Big Sis, and then 4 to 6, Florence. It's going to be Big Sis.
Thank God.
That's the second D6 that has not gone my way.
You see this wing start to maneuver around in such a way, and you realize suddenly that at on the inside of this featherless wing, you see like these eyes begin to pop open as it seems to be sort of studying, and then it's going to take aim and attack. These I call these things grotesques because they're grotesques.
Yeah.
So being outnumbered, taking aim, cancel each other out, and let's roll some terrible teeth. That is a crit fail.
Fail.
That is a crit fail.
Nice.
So this thing's gonna take some peril as you see this kind of bird, almost vulture-like head, suddenly leap out from the body itself, almost like a turtle head coming out of a shell. And as it goes to snap at Big Sis, it misses, and its head just goes full on right into the cobblestone wall. And you hear it suddenly as it seems to have taken some kind of damage, and it'll take some peril. That's a lot of peril it just took too, so it just went down the peril track a couple too. Just one. Okay, so then it'll be Mordio. You hear a ruckus going on behind you. What do you want?
Yeah, I'll follow the ogre into the trees.
Okay.
Let's see, what's my movement?
I'm sure you can get there with.
I have 8.
Yeah, you can get there. You can probably get there in 1. That's fine.
All right, I'll squeeze in there.
Yeah.
Help him out with this. The same blood-soaked dirk, stabbing it in this one.
Get the kill. I want the librarian to get the kill. Come on.
Oh, I crit failed.
It's a crit fail. No. You stabbed Florence and she bleeds out. She's out of bandages.
What?
Sorry.
Wow.
That's just the rules, Ashley.
No, it's Zweihander. You say it's real.
It's page 3.
And there's even
I read it today. He's right.
Thank you, Justin. You're gonna take 9 points of physical peril as you just
He's
overexert
the DM.
yourself.
He's the DM. He knows what he's talking about. All right.
We ain't playing no D&D. Playing Zweihander. All right. So Mordio, do you say anything as you leap out with or lunge forward?
Oh, I'm here to help.
short and sweet.
I got this.
Go ahead, Florence. Finish it off. This thing is not in good shape.
Okay.
One good hit should do it.
Yeah. Let's just whack it.
You got this thing well outnumbered. I'll make this easy without you even having to do anything extra special, but you can if you want. If you want to take aim to get all the way to trivial.
Okay, yeah, I'll take aim then.
Okay, so roll it trivial. You just need one good hit. And that's a crit. Can't do anything about it. And you did holy crap. So this thing explodes.
Ashley, it's already dead. Stop.
Dude.
It explodes completely. No, what kind of weapon are you using? A rapier?
Yeah.
So you just skewer this. Like, what do you do? Like, how's this look? Describe it for us.
Florence, she just kind of, because she has this kind of really floofy kind of shirt and stuff, and she'll take a really fancy step forward and she kind of points her toe as she points her rapier at it. And she's like, pardon me, as she reaches and she just slashes down at it and just slices off the creepy feathered arm thing with the eyes.
Okay.
You're so polite.
That sounded so anime.
This thing.
And
she's very,
that
sassy.
creature has also fell for sure. Okay, so now you've got these two. We're gonna go back to drama. Hey, they can see us. So two of these creatures. You look around. You listen carefully. See, you don't hear anything else. Any other things sneaking around. You're at different parts of the building. You look around and you think you've gotten them, and you suddenly hear from the road, like Gregor, like, oh, you're right in there. That's his voice. You're right in there. There we go. Got it. It's that one. It's the one that's going to make me regret tomorrow. So he just sort of shouts out, because this is all taken probably out a minute. And no one came to help you. What are you all doing? You just saw these.
Florence just is kind of like looking around. We got a gentleman over here. He desperately needs some help.
Okay, so then Gregor will start moving the party up the road a bit, up the bend, until he sees the northern side of the building where the tree has fallen, and he sees a couple of you huddling around, and they come over, and he's like, I mean, fortunate for him, there's a hospital up the road, so he'll be fine. But someone's got to carry him, and I've got this lantern, and I've got a bad back, my shoulder. It's from a blitzball injury. It's a long story, but can someone carry this one?
I've got it.
Okay. So covered in blood, because you fell and flopped around in it, and then so did the holy roller. And then when Gregor sees the holy roller in his this is great. Oh, can we stop for like 30 minutes so I can sketch you? and me together, and we can call it like a selfie or something.
I'm sure that can wait till we get to this
Meanwhile-
gentleman.
I mean, the guy, he's a fan.
Never say no to Fitz. Yeah.
So what you're going to
So-
see Big Sis do at this point is she's going to go back over because she had given her jacket to Florence.
Okay.
But
Getting
she
Siren State back
is
up.
kind of just going to kind of grab the jacket back.
Oh yeah, and she
Without much ceremony and just
Yeah.
kind of like
I like that
go
it
over and
just
be like,
ripped it off her
"Mm,
body.
need this," and we'll kind of grab it and kind of use that to kind of pick up the injured individual.
Okay. And they're unconscious, incapacitated. But you know, you have a rudimentary understanding of heal. Like, you're not like some amazing doctor, but you do kind of get the gist, and you can tell that the immediate danger of death from bleeding is likely gone. But you would probably guess that there is some sort of lasting injury, especially to that arm, which seems to be pretty mangled. But all of you get back.
I'll do a quick observation on like the corpse before we head back.
Okay. You can roll scrutinize if you want.
So like while Big Sis is carrying
Do
the
you
body,
mean-
or are you looking at the corpses?
Do you mean the corpse of the...
The animal beast thing we just killed.
Okay, so there's two of them. Which one do you want to do?
I just one that's right next to us.
Okay, so the one by the north side,
Yeah.
the birdish one. Okay, go ahead and roll scrutinize.
Okay.
You can treat it at standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, this seems you have no idea what this thing is. Like, it's like, in terms of trying to classify it biologically, like you're a well-studied man. You have read many books, leather bound and others, and you have never seen a specific, like, this is strange. You see what looks to be elements of like a turtle, elements of like a bird, a vulture, a cockatrice, something like that. You're not quite sure. It seems to be some kind of amalgamation, some strange. You're not sure if it's some sort of mutated form, but it's
This definitely gets me excited. Like, oh, there's these species here.
yeah.
Some interesting discoveries to make.
It's the Galapagos Islands. That's what we found, everybody. It's great. It's like Darwin. Okay, so that takes a couple of minutes, and at a certain point, everyone's like yelling at you, "Let's go, let's go, let's go!" Especially Dwally is just like, "What are you doing?" And you come over, and you're covered in blood. You've got this spray of like all sorts of strange guts on you, and she fixes her spectacles a bit, looks a little bit more closely at you, and as if she's sort of reappraising you, like, I thought you said you were a librarian.
Yeah, something definitely came out of me there. I'm not sure. I didn't know I was capable of
That thing came out of you.
that. Not like that.
Oh God. Okay, thought it was something that one cooked on the ship or something. Okay, so you start getting going, and true to Gregor's word, it's about maybe a half an hour more of travel time before. In the rain is not relenting. The wind is excessive, but you continue to move, and eventually, as the lightning continues to crackle, every now and then lighting up parts of the countryside, you pass by what looks to be fields planted, some sort of wheat, corn. You're not sure exactly what. You'd have to tell in the daytime, but you can see large fields of that, various buildings or scarecrows or something like that, going a little bit higher within those fields than the rows and the stalks themselves. A lot of those are getting ripped up from the terrible kind of tropical storm that you all are going through. But eventually you come across, when the lightning lights up to the west, you can see this incredibly large structure, multifaceted. You can see a couple different spires, different buildings, like a compound almost, and most of them seem to be multi-layered, like maybe 2-3 stories. You're not entirely sure. And there's also a very massive cobblestone wall, again about 15 feet or so high, and at the front of it you can see a fairly heavy set of gates. Everything looks pretty much identical to the first gate when you were coming up the ramp off the beach. There's a stick in the side with a bell that hasn't been tipped over. You can see that in the wooden gates that are split into two doors, one of them seems to be affixed and the other one seems to be movable. You can see that there's a kind of this lattice grid in the middle that is probably a way to kind of slide open, slide in. There are a variety of like shrubberies and plants that have been planted around the opening. There's like this nice little entry path that looks, you would imagine in better weather and in daytime, it would actually look kind of nice, but whoever tends to this particular garden is probably going to have some repairs to worry about. There are a handful of lights that you can see in various windows of some of these buildings when you step back and look over top of the wall itself. Gregor says, supplies right here.
So Big Sis is going to kind of hold up the body and just say, like, so where am I going?
Just throw him over. It'll be fun. No. He laughs because it was a funny joke and he didn't laugh. But he says, he points to the gates. And he's like, we've got to go inside. And he goes ahead and he starts kind of pulling on that big bell. And you just hear, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. I don't have a bell sound queued up. So you're dealing with that. And it goes back and forth. And you see it just swaying and swaying and swaying. A couple of minutes pass. There's no response. And he's like, do it again. And he kind of looks over towards the Holy Roller, and he's like, well, maybe someone of great strength and brawn could do better. And he kind of points and wants Oscar to ring the bell himself.
All right, just step back again. I got this.
Watch it. And he kind of like elbows Morty on the side. Watch it. It's brilliant. Watch it.
I don't know what this guy's problem is. All right, so let me go ahead and start ringing this thing. And just ding, ding.
Okay. And lo and behold, it works. He was right. Just needed somebody with a little bit more muscle. And you hear the sound of a door opening inside the wall, inside like there's probably a courtyard on the other side. And suddenly the lattice slides open. And you can see a face, or not a face, but you can see a head that's this large hat, this kind of large, wide-brimmed, rounded hat. You can see a white veil over top of it. You can see the vague contours of a feminine face as the lantern that Gregor is holding up casts these shadows and tends to push through the semi-transparent veil. And you see, you hear a woman say, what is it? It is very late.
Well, we have an emergency. We've just docked nearby, and we have injured.
Oh.
Well,
Oh dear. Go ahead, Ashley.
I wouldn't quite say docked. I'd say our ship was sinking.
Oh goodness, your ship was sinking. That sounds. And she's over here. Oh, and she turns and she's waving, communicating to somebody behind her. And you hear like some sort of mechanisms starting to move and maneuver behind the door, and suddenly the very large, heavy wooden door creaks open, dragging across the ground, and like there's like water and mud that's parting as it opens. And you can see there's two figures as the door opens, and one of them, like I said, is this woman who seems to be covered almost head to toe. She's got this really fairly big darkish hat, but then there's like this light veil over top of it that covers her face. You can see that she's got some kind of tightly buttoned up coat, like almost like double-breasted, and then she's got this kind of long kind of skirt, and they're all dark. You can't quite kind of like a dark green or something like that. Looks to be like a uniform, maybe likely a worker here. And then sitting next to her is a fairly enormous figure that actually makes Big Sis and your cousin Lucas have to tilt your head up just ever so slightly, as if that they're just a little bit taller than you, like maybe 9 feet or so. But you can't make a face out. Instead, you see these very broad shoulders, these like this big, almost like a smock in a way, kind of covering this like big button-down coat. Everything's covered. You don't see any skin. and their head, there's like a dark sack on top of their head that seems to be covering their face. And as they turn around away from you and kind of step back behind the woman, you can see painted onto the back of this mesh bag is the number 7. There's like just like kind of painted there.
Okay.
And she says, "Quickly, come in. Oh goodness, get out of the rain." And she's just kind of reaching out and grabbing you and kind of pulling you all in, like kind of one by one, just dragging you. Come in. Who's the injured party? Who is it?
Don't know.
Oh, we need more light inside. And so she turns and she says, 7, open the door. And so you see that big giant figure turn around, walk towards the inner door into what looks to be the largest of 3 different buildings inside of this walled compound. And they push open the door, and it seems to open up onto a corridor. Inside, let's come quickly. And she starts, as you're moving past her, she's looking at this person who's like a sack of potatoes over your shoulder. Like, oh goodness, I think, oh Till, oh you poor silly man, and what on earth? And so, as you all are kind of trying to usher you in, do you go in?
Yeah, Big Sis is going to follow, and she's not particularly coordinated, so this is kind of going to be the like carrying a body that gets its like feet and head kind of knocked on kind of doorways and things along the way through.
Okay. There's a decent amount of actual headroom in the corridor too, because you can see that the creature, the individual, the ogre, whatever it might be, steps through the door, and they have like a couple inches of headroom, and which means you and Lucas will as well.
We just gotta make sure. Okay, wash our hands, all right, and keep our social distancing from the leprosy, and we'll be good.
There's no lepers here. It's just a scientific community. It's fine. You're so silly. The rumors are just. Oh, stop it. And she,
could I possibly
pat you against the face?
Could I possibly see some skin or your face, something to kind of reassure us?
I'm so sorry. And you see her roll up the veil. It's the uniform. I just get so used to it all the time. And then when she rolls it up, you can see a middle-aged woman, very motherly. She's got somewhat pudgy cheeks, like these green eyes and bushy eyebrows, and
she still has her nose and ears, right?
Yeah, everything seems there. I mean, her hat kind of goes down onto her head, so you can't see her ears technically. They're covered, but
safety precautions,
Just want to make sure.
I'm
good practices.
I'm taking the night shift, and we have to be in all. It's Dr. Ingman wants it this way. It's all protocol.
It's safety. Florence pops up.
Exactly, safety.
We do have more people who are being taken from the ship, brought in.
Oh! How many? From the ship. Oh goodness. And she starts counting how many are here. How many more would you say are coming?
Florence looks expectingly at.
I give her an exact number.
Good job.
You give an exact number of like the amount of passengers. Exact. That's very precise. Thank you.
It knows all their heights and weights and like dimensions and stuff.
Square footage required to house it.
All of their build types. We have 7 slender people, 6 frail, 2 corpulent, but they're already here. So she leads you in through a corridor. The figure that was opening the doors takes the body from you of this man that she called Till, and cradles it like in his arm, in their arms, start carrying him like a baby, like with the elbow, like the head in the nook. It's very, very gentle, surprisingly so. And you pass by this corridor, and eventually you come to another door, which has to be unlocked again. And then that door swings open, and you see what looks to be a kind of admissions area, or at least there's a large desk in the front with a bunch of different papers. There's a burning candle. You can see that there are a couple chairs off to the right and left. There are a couple doors behind the desk. One of them seems to lead outdoors into some kind of solarium kind of area, and the other two you're not sure exactly. You see on the right and immediately to your right and left, like a hard right angle to your right and left, there are large doors that are also seem to be heavy and seem to be locked, like there's padlocks on them, like they're heavily secured. It seems to be going to wards. One says east ward, one says west ward. But she bypasses all of it, and she's like fussing with her on her belt. She pulls out a ring of keys, and she starts unlocking one of the doors behind the desk, and she's like, come this way. And then she turns to Seven, take him to the west ward. And then the large figure just sort of slowly nods and then goes towards the west ward, as she's like following behind really quickly to unlock the door and let him pass. And then she rushes back over to you, and she leads you down another hallway, and eventually into like this open area with all sorts of tables, a fireplace. You guys are soaking wet along the way. You can see there's a couple other people in here already. Some of them are reading, some of them are studying, some of them are eating. Looks to be some kind of like cafeteria. And she's like, okay, we are going, you're going to catch cold. So we're going to get you so is anybody like warm clothes? Clothes? She looks at everybody.
Please, yes.
Yes, anybody else?
Mm-hmm. I
Yes,
have to change.
Yeah, I need to change, but I also would love to know where your chapel is. I need to repent for a few things I've just committed.
Repent? And she kind of looks at you sort of strangely, like you just committed.
Just normal stuff, normal things. Don't worry about it.
You have to repent for normal things.
Daily repents.
Sure.
Your normal Monday repents.
The Reverend Mother Lavender, she has a church, but it's not on the hospital grounds. Tomorrow, I'm sure someone would be glad to show you. It's not too far from here, 15-minute walk. Now's the weather is terrible. We've been trying to plug all sorts of leaks left and right, and probably not good to go about in the weather.
Do you need help with that? Plugging leaks?
Oh, I think we've got it handled, but thank you. You've been through an ordeal. Your ship almost sank. I would be...
Already dirty, might as well help.
That's very kind, but what kind of hostess would I be if I didn't... if I made you suddenly work? No. Sit, relax. If the ladies would like more privacy, I can take you into the nurse's room and you can change, if that's... She just sort of trails off, waiting for affirmation from somebody.
Ashley, you're muted.
Oh no. Florence will pipe up and she'll go, that would be lovely, as she kind of just loops her arms with Daisy.
So you see some of the people in here are dressed like she is, this woman. And they all have like their big wide brim hats with the veils. Some of them are down. Some of the people have just their hats off. You see one other who is in kind of these really dark, almost blackish robes. And he's kind of sitting off in the corner, just reading, hasn't got up, hasn't bothered. You see a bunch of other people that are in more like rough spun wool, nothing particularly fancy in terms of clothing. And they're kind of coming and going, servants, you would imagine. And they all come, they kind of come and usher you to different spots where you can have some privacy while changing. The men go one place, the women go another, and they start handing out certain clothes. One of the nurse that has been kind of ushering you all in here, she takes the women, so Dwally and Big Sis and Florence and Daisy, into one of the nursing chambers, and you can see it's just there's nothing particularly wonderful in here. It's just kind of a changing room. It's a kind of a wash room. You can see like there's like a basin that's kind of set up, and she reaches behind her as a servant gives her like this big sack and like, you'll have to excuse me, I'm sorry, but we don't have, as you can imagine, a great array of clothes. These are all clean and well crafted, but not flattering. And so she starts handing them out, and these kind of like crudely dyed, like long sleeve, kind of greenish shirts and pants, and like these gray pants and stuff like that. They look like almost like something like a patient would wear. So there's another individual in another dark kind of robe who takes the guys into a different room, and he's like, here you go, throw these on, and then he just like steps away.
Big sis totally would have like rolled her eyes at the idea that like clothes need to be fashionable, and would have just been like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of looked over at Florence, kind of getting a sense that Florence may be a little more pris and concerned about such things.
Wow, pris. Yeah, actually.
I mean, it's a little accurate, but I think Florence would be, she's not going to try and upset her host. She can recognize the situation she's in.
Okay.
And she realizes that, Daisy, she's more concerned about Daisy. So she's totally ignoring Big Sis, and she's just fretting about Daisy as she's making sure she's warm. And
Big Sis is telling you to stop it. Like, she's like one of those, Mom, quit it. Mom, quit it. I mean, you're basically the same age, but like, yeah, it's like, Mom, quit it. But eventually you change, and the women come out of the nurse's room, go back into that kind of main area. Guys, are any issues?
Not at all.
I'm perfectly fine. I was just in my skivvies outside, so I ain't worried about it.
You can see that that they have kind of cleared up some room, and they've brought out what looks to be a fairly large, like, kind of cauldron, and they started to like ladle off like different, like some sort of soup or stew into bowls. And the nurse comes up. Oh, what? Eat, please, eat. Oh, you must be so freezing. And all of you are. It's autumn, so it could be a lot worse, but you're in somewhat northern waters, so it's still going to be not great. And plus, you're soaking wet. But get by the fire. Go by the fire and eat and relax and all of that. And
yeah, I'll take a bowl of whatever they're handing out and try to find someone that was here before we came.
Okay.
And sit with them.
What do you mean here before? Oh, like one of the okay.
Like whoever they work here or they live here or whatever.
So yeah, there's a guy who seems to be removed off in the corner reading, who hasn't made any motion whatsoever to come up. And then there's two other figures, one that are dressed in kind of that same nursing clothing. One of them is wearing trousers. One of them is wearing surgery matter. One male and female, who are off together and are talking to one another in a, you would think, somewhat intimate conversation. They seem to be kind of flirty. And the servants that keep coming and going are eyes downcast. They're not saying anything. They're just delivering orders, ladling out spoon, stuff, and that's that.
I'll join the guy reading by himself.
Okay. So
I'll wait until he like finishes the chapter, so I don't want to interrupt him.
Okay.
So I know what it's like.
So you sit down next to him, and he is, he's got these long, again, dark green robes on him. His legs are like firmly placed in front of him. Like he's like perfect formal seating. He's got this large medical tome resting on his lap. He's got this very thin mustache and kind of slick back combed hair. Very tidy looking man. Younger, probably 30s maybe. Nothing too old. Very attractive. And as you sit down and you start slurping the soup, he slowly, like his head slowly turns up and he looks at you and he says, "Can I help you?"
Yes, I'm just interested if you've been here long and what you're actually doing.
I was enjoying a fine, quiet evening with my studies. I am no longer doing that now.
Oh, maybe you can share in your studies. What are you looking at?
I don't think you'd be interested in it. kind of eyes you up and down. But he kind of holds the book up, and you can see that there's writing, but there's all sorts of like, it's like an anatomy book of some kind. You can see that there's like different like kind of skeletal or organ breakdown, stuff like that. I am just reading a treatise on gnomish physiology.
Is there a bunch of gnomes around here?
There are a few in our wards, a few on the grounds, yes.
What are they usually in for?
All sorts of things. Those who live here, broken bone perhaps, a scraped knee. Those who are brought here for many other things, but he kind of hesitates, looks around. Finish your meal. Nurse Fletcher, I'm sure, will be most accommodating. And he just slams it shut, and he starts to get up. Have a good night, sir. And
Yeah, you too.
he kind of does this like little bow, like somewhat formal, and then he retreats out of that room, so he's no longer in there. So he gets out. Any of you doing anything?
So Big
Well-
Sis is going to go. Oh, God.
No, you go ahead. Good.
Big Sis was just going to barge over. You said there was a couple that was kind of sitting there.
There's two like people in the nurse get up that kind of look to be a little handsy, a little, you know, kind of putting their hands out, that kind of thing. I don't know what I'm doing
Yep.
with my hands.
Like their
And that's-
fingertips are touching.
Yeah.
There's like a booth. They're playing footsie underneath the table.
She
So-
flashes some ankle, you know.
So that's where Big Sis is just going to go kind of right over.
Oh no.
And they look up at you, and you sit down. They smile. That's right. I have that patient's room to clean out. She says, and he's like,
But hi, how are you? How are you?
"Oh,
Sorry, still getting used to this voice.
we're great. Thank you for asking. We need to be going, however." And
So what is this place? We got shipwrecked here, and you live here.
yes, this is an island. Speaking very slowly to you,
A total eye roll to that.
on which we have built a refuge for sick
Mm-hmm.
and ill people. They come here and
By boat, like we did.
yes, and we help them, and
Mm.
we learn
They swim on big ship
with brain. We write
like building in
books.
ocean.
And we send them back to the rest of the world.
So like,
Academic sanctuary.
so you think only smart people can be here?
No, we have many people like you here because people need to farm for us, and they need to clean, and they need to cook food. So don't.
Do you have a jail here?
Well, if someone does something, which very rarely does that happen, we have in the hospital we have the orderlies to take care of that, and out there there's a
So no jail.
it's no jail, no jail.
So who are you?
I Nurse Barnes. You are?
You can call me Big Sis.
Okay.
And that's my
Big
cousin
Sis.
Lucas over there.
And
so she
Lucas is
points
just
at
like
Lucas.
literally like chugging things of stew. Well, this has been great. So
Well,
I'm
Keep-
gonna go.
keep doing good work. And she'll just
And
go
you
back to where
too.
Lucas
with-
is.
Right. Okay. All right. So
You okay, Ashley?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sorry.
so as the night progresses, more people from the ship start showing. You can see that the rich folk that had the private cabin come in looking awful, and they are immediately yelling at Nurse Fletcher. And they said we couldn't build the wagon. We put the carriage on the ship for this very reason. And then they said, no, they couldn't take it down. Didn't have time, of course. And look at me. Look at my hair. Look at my clothes. And Nurse Fletcher tries to give her the same. I am not wearing that. That is ridiculous. And you can see that the patience, however, of the nursing staff seems to be quite extensive, and they're like, oh, of course we'll find you something else. And they keep coming back, and they keep getting no's, and eventually the woman just sits in the corner soaking wet with her, you presume, a husband, just kind of sitting there also soaking. You can see a couple other people you recognize from the ship start to show up. A couple of the crew members. The captain, she comes in as well. And you can see that another one of those people in kind of the what you would imagine of the dark doctors, the ones that were kind of dressed like the man that Mordio was talking to. This woman comes in, kind of taking charge or kind of getting debriefed a bit by Nurse Fletcher. And the three of them kind of huddle in a corner away, and the captain's like kind of explaining some things, and you can't quite hear exactly what they're saying. But after a moment, the huddle breaks, and the three women come over into the middle, and Nurse Fletcher's like, gather round, please, everyone. And you can see everyone starts, including yourselves, starts showing up, and you're all like dressed like patients. You're all wearing like gowns and stuff. Your asses are hanging out the back. Now you got like pants on and stuff. But everyone's kind of dressed the same, other than the soaking wet, like rich folk who couldn't be bothered to wear, dry clothes. And the captain speaks up, and she says, very bad news. Unfortunately, the ship has sustained extensive damage. We are likely to be here for a few days to make repairs. I am on my way now to speak with Dr. Ingman about possibly supplying us with various things that we need, tools, perhaps labor, definitely supplies, of course. But the wonderful Nurse Fletcher and Dr. Zabornak, they have agreed that they will let you stay here. And to be honest, that is a far better place to stay than on the Myopa, where we are pumping water out slower than it's coming in. And it is just not a safe or healthy place. We will dock as best we can once waters allow us to, but for the foreseeable future, at least for 2, perhaps as long as a week, maybe, you'll need to make your time here. And then Nurse Fletcher, and don't worry, we're not the Holiday Inn Express, but we've got wonderful cots, and we don't have individual rooms, but we can mattresses, of course, and food, and we would love conversation. We only talk to ourselves, and getting new people happens so rarely, like twice a year at most. So infrequent that we have visitors, especially ones that aren't ill. So we hope that you'll bear with us. We will do what we can. We've already arranged rooms for everyone. Again, there's going to be some bunking together. I hope that is okay. And in the corner, no, it is not okay. I am not bunking. No, it's fine. We have a private special room just for you, madam. And does anybody ask any questions? Say anything?
No. Big Sis is just going to look over in the direction of the complainers and be like, or you could go back to the boat. I mean, this is a dry building, so
no, that
better.
would be a bad idea. You can see the captain like something like, no, definitely not a good idea to go back there.
Just saying, they should maybe be grateful and stop complaining.
And the woman like, who do you think you are saying such things to me? Do you know who I am?
And she's just going to stand up, just full size and
Florence will also stand and be like, thank you, Big Sis. I quite appreciate your acknowledgement of this situation. Miss Fletcher, Nurse Fletcher, excuse me. We greatly appreciate your hospitality, and I'm sure we could all use some rest.
Meanwhile, I'm just at the bench, like turn on the corner, like just eating soup, like a lot. So,
And so Gregor, who's sitting next to you, is like, you kill one of them? Did you kill one of them? Like, get him in a headlock or something? Did you? I don't know the move's name. It's just.
Listen, it's not about killing. It's about saving others around me, and making sure that others could be safe. Now, did I bonk one on the ground like a whack-a-mole with a chair? Maybe. All right, maybe that happened. But it's not about the pain. It's about the protection that I'm giving others.
Well,
Right.
It's quite interesting because nobody actually witnessed it. So,
Hey, if the Holy Roller says he did something, then he did it. I've got this. It's fine. And he kind of pats you very gingerly. Is it okay if I do that? Is it okay?
Just don't.
Okay.
Please don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you're right, it's messy. And he just kind of right across his like chef's apron. So night progresses, dinner ends, and eventually various servants, nurses start leading you all to different segments of the wards where they've set up different rooms for people, and they start putting people in different sections. The Holy Roller and Mordio and Lucas all get one room together.
Please just don't ruin me with that one. He's kind of overstaying his welcome with the whole.
Well, mate, he's pointing at you. What you were pointing at me is. Can I
No,
help you
just
with something?
stop. No, you're good. Just stop.
But you were pointing at me. Right.
I was
There
the guy.
There was a wall behind me.
Well,
you pointing at the wall.
I'm gonna go take a rest.
That wall do something to you.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Everything's good.
I've got you.
Right.
Okay. Love you, Holy Roller.
as
the door closes and the three of you are inside, Daisy and Florence and Big Sis, you all are bunked into a room together in a different part of the hospital, and you all kind of settle in. You the beds are definitely a step up from what you've had for the past week that you've been on the ship, and there are fresh sheets, fresh blankets aplenty, little candles, not lanterns but candles with matches on these little on the table. You can tell that they moved probably a third bed into this room. It's probably just two, so it's a little bit tight, but it makes sense, especially since they probably don't want to mix you with other folk. So you all begin to go to bed unless there's something in particular that you're looking to do before then.
My belly's pretty full of soup. I'm ready to take a little rest personally.
Okay.
On the way to our room, I'll just make sure there's actually patients here. Like we actually see patients.
Roll an awareness test. Standard's fine.
Pass.
While you don't see any, you definitely hear echoes of various people deeper into the wards themselves. And as you go into the room and start like kind of laying down, you can hear echoing through the walls, kind of people moaning sounds like they're in pain, or people kind of screaming out in pain or something like that. Not entirely uncommon things you would imagine in a place like this.
Okay.
So you don't see any, but that's probably by design, considering that you all are brought here accidentally, fortuitously. Anybody else doing anything at night? All right, why don't all of you go ahead and roll an eavesdrop test so I can freak out Ashley really quick.
Great. At what difficulty rating?
Let's just make it routine. One of my favorite things to do on our podcast is Ash. That's hard to say. Ask Ashley.
Ashley.
Okay. Where she wants to sleep. And this is, I didn't even give her a choice. So there's no right answer. But there's also no wrong answer, Ashley. All right. Sorry, I didn't have my roll 20 up to look at your roll results. We've got a pass on Big Sis. We've got a pass on Mordio. And everyone passed. Is that right?
Right.
I got a crit fail.
Okay.
Oh.
So not only do you fall asleep, but that tinnitus, it's still ringing and it's still driving you nuts. And you're going to take 10 points of mental peril, as it's just so frustrating. And if anybody has ever had it, I do. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay. So the rest of you, let's start with the boys. No, let's start with the ladies.
Okay, thank you.
Big Sis, you are awoken in the night by, well, you're not sure what her. You think her name is Daisy. It's the woman that you put the thing on, like the heavy blanket on, and you see her kind of banging. You suddenly hear banging. And when you wake up, you can see that she's at the door and she's banging on it. Florence is asleep.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll get up and go over to the door.
And you go to the door and she's still banging on it, and she like freaks out. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
I needed to use the facilities.
And it's locked?
Yes. It's and she's very like, she got her hands like in front of her, not like to protect, but just like very nervous. She's a very frail woman. I had a lot of soup, and I have a very temperamental bladder, and
no need to apologize.
But the door is locked.
Please step aside.
Okay. So she steps back.
So Big Sis is going to go over. And so is this like there's a handle, a knob to.
There's no handle and a knob. It's just a big wooden panel. Roll an easy scrutinize test.
All right, so easy. Scrutinize. Pass.
You do remember coming in that the doors on either side of them had like little braces, likely because it's probably barred from the outside. That's probably what they do to keep the patients inside. No,
but I definitely didn't remember the bar. You don't remember placed behind me.
No. You didn't hear anything. Even at one point, like someone came, like one of the nurses came past, just checking in, wanted to see if you needed anything, a nightcap, some hot milk, stuff like that. But no.
Okay. So initially, what she's going to do is she's going to kind of lay her ear down and see if there's any kind of crack under the door, kind of a thing.
There's a little bit.
And just sort of do a kind of a loud whisper, kind of under the door, like. Hello, is anyone there? Hello?
You don't hear anything back. No response.
Louder, louder, louder.
Nothing.
All right. So she is going to stand up and kind of, make sure that there's room and just try to shoulder that door open.
Okay, roll a brawn test, what the hell's it called? I just screwed it up. What's it called? Athletics test. Excuse me. Brawn test.
Okay.
Make
Difficulty?
it. We'll make it at. For you, I'm gonna make it routine.
Okay. Passed.
So you kind of, it takes you about 2 tries. The first try kind of loosens it. The second try, you can hear that brace on the outside of the door rip off the wall, and you can hear the clattering of a plank onto the floor in the middle of the hallway. You look to the left and right, and it's complete darkness out here.
Does this wake me?
I would say at this point, yes.
Okay.
It's pretty loud.
Florence gets up and she goes, "What are you guys doing?
Your friend needed to use the restroom.
Did you
and
look beneath the bed for the bedpan?"
But we were locked in. That is not okay.
And when you look underneath the bed, there actually is a bedpan.
Yeah, so Florence will pull it out and she'll put it in the corner. Daisy, they probably don't have like.
I'm not gonna in front of. No offense,
It's me.
not you, but
She's a lovely woman.
I
It's
know,
fine.
but I don't know her that well.
Go do your business. I'm going to look down the hall.
Okay, and so she goes into the corner.
Florence will kind of stand in the doorway.
Okay.
God, I hope we don't have to pay for these damages.
Do you think it is okay that they locked the door behind us?
I mean, I would rather they would not, but it's probably some sort of policy.
I disagree. This is not a jail.
This is
They did
not a
inform
hotel.
us. Well, I am going to see what I can find.
So you walk out. Go right, and go left. It's dark though. Are you bringing anything with you? Remember, there's a candle on the inside you can carry with you if you wanted.
Yeah, I'll take the candle.
Okay, so it gives you a little bit of light, not a ton, but enough to illuminate the hallway for a few yards. There are other rooms you can see next to you, much like yours, barred, all of them. You can see that there are little numbers and sketched into, like as if it's just numbering the different rooms themselves. Roll an eavesdrop test. It's super quiet, so roll it at easy.
What's the number of our door?
Hang on. I actually wrote that down. 17.
Nice.
Got that eavesdrop test? Okay.
Crit fail.
That's a crit fail. So, as you're
I now have tinnitus.
As you're listening carefully, you hear like distant wails of probably, you would imagine, our patients somewhere deeper. You hear the crinkling above you of like maybe footsteps on the floor. And as you're kind of like looking up to listen, you're walking and you just slam right into the wall, not having seen it. So go ahead and take 4 points of physical peril as you start that hurt. But as you've come to what looks to be a turn in the corridor, and you look to your left and you can see there's a figure down the hallway that you can see it's one of those large orderly fellows, and you can see that there's a bit of light that's sitting on top of some kind of cart that it seems to be pushing, covered. It's like almost like a big old wheelbarrow. There's some sort of canvas over top of it, and then like perched on top of it is that lantern, and so you can see it there. And as you kind of from hitting the cart, which was moving like in a kind of almost like a cross pattern. This is a good maybe 10 yards down the hallway from you. Suddenly stops, and you can see the head just turn in your direction and just stares at you.
Yes, excuse me.
No response.
As long as this figure isn't moving in my direction. I think I'll.
That's the thing.
Oops.
After a moment, they turn, leaving the cart where it was, and begin slowly walking towards you. But they are quickly stopped by one of the nurse figures stepping out in front. Oh, go back to work, Six. Go back to work. And then she comes in your direction. I'm so sorry he gave you a fright. It's very terrible. It's that Nurse Fletcher woman again. They're former patients. They're ogres like yourself. They're just very. It's not pleading to you. Is there something wrong? Is there a problem?
I was less concerned by him and more at the fact that we were barred into our rooms.
Oh, I am so sorry. Hospital policy. I assume one of the servants didn't get the memo that we had non-patients occupying the rooms. I am so sorry, so sorry. They do rounds every night. They come through, put the bars in. It will not happen again.
Well, I mean, it's not going to happen again because I broke it. So, yeah.
My fault, of course. We'll repair it in the morning. No, think nothing of it. Leave the door open if you like. It's totally fine. Can I get you anything? Are you good? You fine?
I would like to do a scrutinized test on whether she was actually surprised to find that we were barred in our rooms.
Sure. Let's see. Checking your social class. Yeah, you can make this at standard.
All right.
Is that Gabe? I see. Hi, Gabe. Almost done.
No.
Yeah, I mean, she seems like a very nice, genuine woman.
I would like to see where my cousin is.
Oh, and she leads you to one of the same hallway as you, just a different room, just right in there, and
I'm gonna take the bar off the door.
Go in there, and you can see the room is filled with an ogre, but it's not your cousin. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. That is, I'm not. I'm so sorry. Don't read into this. I'm normally a very good person. They're in the Western Wing. Hospital policy, men, women.
What do I see?
You see two women that are laying in two beds. One of whom seems to be an ogre woman. Another one seems to be human, and they are out, and they are snoring.
And these were not people that were on the boat?
No.
Just make a mental note of kind of what I see. Sure. And the room number here.
This is 19. It's like across in catty corner.
Okay. So where is my cousin?
Western Ward. I'm very sorry. Very sorry. In the morning you'll be able to see him again. It's just Dr. Ingeman is very old-fashioned. Doesn't like co-ed. I mean, the nurses, we have separate dormitories for men and women, so it's not just you, it's us too. I'm very sorry.
You get barred in your room at night too?
No. Again, I apologize for that. Why don't you just go back to bed? It's been a long day. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be better. Yay.
See that this does not happen again.
Of course not. Absolutely. Never again. For sure. 100%. And she escorts
back to bed she'll go.
Okay. Over in the Western Ward. Guys, go ahead and roll easy or routine awareness test. Or excuse me, eavesdrop test.
I think you rolled it earlier.
Did you pass?
Yeah, 6.
I passed, yeah.
Okay. Both of you are suddenly awoken in the middle of the night by a hard to decipher sound. It's almost like a wail. Not quite a scream, like a kind of sound coming from out in the hallway. Is
it the same sound that we heard before?
No. It sounds kind of strangely muted in a way. It's in the hallway somewhere outside.
You want to go look at that?
You heard that too.
And you then hear moments later something happening outside your door, like a scraping sound, and then a cling.
Go for my cudgel,
As you
just in case.
reach down for the cudgel that's by your bed, the door suddenly opens. It's dark, completely dark. You can't see anything.
I'll go to light a candle.
Okay. So as you light the candle, the room suddenly becomes illuminated, and you see standing in the doorway a very slender, frail, old man with long, stringy, white and gray hair balding at the very top. His face, jaw kind of off to the side a bit. He's got the same clothing that you have on, that same kind of patient getup, but it's older, hasn't been cleaned perhaps in a while, or he's sicked up all over it. And he's standing there, and the eyes suddenly brighten as the reflection of the candlelight becomes intense, and you hear that sound again. And they step into the room, and you hear like a shuffling as if he has trouble walking.
Can we help you, sir?
I guess I can we can see him now, right?
Yes, there's light in the room.
Just kind of get like a closer look at him, see what the hell's going on.
Roll a scrutinize test. You can roll at, since there's light, easy.
Scrutinize. It's the one thing I got to use to with this one. So you said easy?
Uh-huh. Should be under, I believe it's perception.
Easy. Scrutinize.
Yeah, it's perception. We're almost near the end if you want to re-roll that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
Go for it.
I just lost the freaking thing.
It's literally the same button you just pressed.
Yeah. Got worse. Okay.
You look at him and you think, you look at there's something in his hands, you think. Like there's some sort of sharp object. You can't make it out. And he starts to reach in your direction. What do you do? You swear you think you see a weapon.
I guess I would try and evade him, push him to the side. I don't want to hurt him. He's an old man.
So you go up, you kind of push him, and he goes, oh, and he starts to whimper a little bit. And you realize it was just his fingernails, which have grown fairly long.
Ashley's face right now is the best, by the way.
Ah,
I love doing this to her.
I forgot people can see me.
She's just back here like this. She's just like.
And you realize the reason you can't understand him is that when you look at his mouth, his teeth are missing. His tongue has been, you think, removed. It looks.
I'm like, the trees have attacked this man too.
And he starts grabbing onto you and kind of pulling you, and he can't move you. He's so weak, but he's tugging on your shirt, like pulling you out the door. Do you let him?
I think he wants us to see something. So
Yeah, he's trying to show us something.
let's go out there and see what he wants us to see.
That's your reaction?
Yeah. I'm a big fat cat. What's this man gonna do?
So he leads you outside in the corridor and then down the hallway to the door that leads out back towards like that central area. There's still a couple other doors to go through. There's a lot of like redundancies when it comes to locked doors and things, but you know it, you remember it. This is the way you came into your room. And he points. And he's just kind of clawing away at the door as if he wants you to open it. But as you try to, it's locked. And it's locked it's barred on the other side. It's heavy. You can see that there's little metal reinforcement. As
What was this door to again?
This goes back out to like the main area, like the entrance point to the hospital. Remember when you went to the hospital, there were those two hard right angled doors. One went to the eastern wing, one went to the west wing.
Okay.
And this is the door back to the front.
What do you want to do?
Something's drawing him out this way, but how can we get through?
Can we look at the rest of the hallway, see if there's anyone else in the hallway?
Just a bunch of locked doors. As you step back to look around behind you, you hear a dum 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 dum, and you see breakneck speed, one of those orderlies running down the hallway, pushes you off to the side, grabs him, that frail old man, slams him to the ground, and then starts to drag him past you and Mordio away and makes a left-hand turn and disappears. And that's where we're going to stop for our first our first session.
I mean, man is clearly asking for it. People are trying to sleep and he's making all this noise.
So, all right, so that's it. Cool. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got to express my luchador, so it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
I didn't kill any of you yet. Soon. I like to ramp them up. You know me, slow burns, ramp these suckers up.
You survived.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the same time next week. 7 for us, because we're PST, we're Pacific. But normally, Zweihander does a lot of CST. So 9 o'clock next Thursday. Come join us again. Thank you to everybody who hung out in the chat. Thank you for the bits, the subs, etc. Before we go, if you want to watch us do some we're going to do this again. Some of us anyway. Justin doesn't play in the Mutant Year Zero game, but the rest of them do, and a couple others. You can tune into our Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers it's 6 to 8 PST. So that would be 8 to 10 Central Time. But you can watch us for maybe like an hour and then come back to this channel, Zweihander, at 9 Central Time, where Chuck and the Defenders of Cobalt are actually going to start up their brand new Zweihander campaign on the stream every other Fridays, and their Fridays tomorrow. So come watch Mutant Year Zero for an hour on the Lollygagging channel. Then hop over. We won't be mad. We understand. And then Chuck will take you for the rest of the night, and you can watch all the wonderful things that he's going to do in the Blood Marches. I think that's what it's called, campaign. And that's about it. Have a great night, everybody who's still there. Everybody's hanging out. Hope you had fun. If you have any questions, comments, etc., catch us on Twitter. Lollygagger Co. Come say hi, or the Discord for Zweihander. Say hey to Jeff. That's me. That's it. Very good.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.